Got my water. Got myself. It's saying more ways to go live. I don't know what they're saying. There we go. Alrighty. Trying to sit here without knocking over this water here. Hi, Miranda. Hi, Timothy. Hope you're well. How are we all doing? Just gonna hang out here for a little bit and just wait for some other folks to come on. Like my beautiful plant back there? I don't remember what they're called. Yeah, good to hear, Tim. Very good to hear. Alrighty. Pretty day here in Southern California. Oh, look, we can get a blue sky behind us, too. That's perfect. Hi, Maria. Welcome. No, I like it when it's blue. That looks so much prettier. Hi, Melinda. I'm seeing you later in today. Hi, Linda. I see you hiding out there. Welcome, welcome. So lovely to have everyone here. I'm sitting oddly on my chair at the moment because I have my two beverages. Try to keep them from being knocked off here. But we'll be starting here in just a minute. To just hang out, get a cup of water, get I don't know, whatever it is you drink. Have a snack, get me one. Sounds great. Okay. So, hi everyone, welcome. I am here doing my regular live. So again, I do this every Sunday at 1 o'clock. And I just realized I'm going to have to do this while I'm in New Orleans. So hopefully I'll be in a cool place to be able to do this at 1 o'clock when I'm in New Orleans. So I go to New Orleans on Wednesday around noon to go see Eileen and be with her throughout her time while she's there teaching with Scott Milligan. So that'll be cool. And so we're going to be doing that. And then she comes here. So, I mean, it's really a lot of good things happening. And that's not even to mention the fact that Game of Thrones comes out tonight. That's a totally separate side thing. So, you know, I don't know if we have any Game of Thrones fans over there, but y'all know how long we've been waiting. Anyway, that's tonight. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about spiritual things. We're here to talk about all things in the spirit world. So one of the things that I definitely want to discuss, and I'll be open to, you know, you guys asking anything you want to ask. Can everyone hear me okay? I just want to make sure, because I know I have a lot of street noise that's over here. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me okay. In fact, we have helicopters, we have cars. Oh, that's a plane. Yep, you can hear me fine. Okay, great. Oh, there's the plane. Haha, there it is. So, anywho. Oh, hi, Kim. Welcome. So, one of the things I wanted to talk with you about today is something that I'm really sensitive to and is kind of, I don't know. The way I like to pick what I'm going to talk about for the lives is kind of what did I experience in the week, because I think that that's something that's very motivational to me and like what I have gone through this week. And I feel this week there's the sensitive subject. Hi, Kim. A sensitive subject that I have around the idea of fraudulence within mediumship. So we won't stay on this for forever, because I really don't want to, you know, focus on this sort of negative thing that is a part of, you know, this world. but I do want to address it because I think it's important for people to understand that, within the mediumistic community, we keep ourselves accountable as well. And I think that's an important thing to do, because I know for myself, with regards to this work, it's literally probably the most important thing in my life. It's what I have spent so many years searching for, the reality, for the truth, for something that could validate or teach me, the reality that we are more than just this moment, we are more than just these bodies. And since I discovered the affirmative answer to that, I have since made it sort of my goal to go out there into the world and show other people that they too can have these kinds of experience, that this is a part of just being a human. And I think that when it comes to fraudulence, I'm incredibly sensitive because of my experiences with it in other people. And then also my experiences, whenever someone is fraudulent, because I work so hard, and I know that so many others do, those that are genuine, to help people discover the reality that is, the beauty of the spirit world, of them coming and being a real, tangible thing within reality. And every time that we have someone who is doing something fraudulent, it sets us all back, because then we get tarred with the same brush. And that really sucks. And then, so this week, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to talk about anyone specifically, because that's not really my place. I've done that in the past, and it's not that helpful because there will always be people. So the other thing I'm going to talk about is belief. So if I forget to talk about belief, please remind me. So this week, I sort of stumbled across some other medium being sort of caught out as fraudulent, a mental medium, which is surprising for me because my familiarity with fraudulence is generally in physical mediumship. So with regards to mental mediumship and the ideas of cold reading and hot reading and all of that sort of thing. So within the mediumship world, we are trying to say, hey, there's this other reality. We want to show you that there's this other reality, so we want to give you the evidence that's going to support this. Unfortunately, what's easy to do for some people is to research people, which is called hot reading, meaning you already have information ahead of time. And then the other thing is, and I don't think that people mean to do this necessarily, but cold reading. Sometimes I think it's on purpose, but most of the time I think people don't realize, because they haven't been taught well in their development, that they're actually cold reading, asking questions, responding based on what they're seeing in the individual, and that can happen too. So those are basically the two biggest criticisms that mediums have of the work that we do, that we're either hot reading or we're cold reading, and because, skeptics believe that it's not even possible. There's a long history between skeptics and scientists and people wanting to tell, are mediums fake or are they real? And there's a long history of scientists supporting it. But also there's always been fraud. So there's that. So what was it that I even wanted to mention about this? So a couple of things. Number one, I think it's really important to, when you're going to go to some sort of demonstration or you're going to do, something like that, it's super important to give, don't be posting things online like, hey, I'm going to this thing. Hi, Jackie. Don't be, putting things on that could be found by someone who is going to work fraudulently, because then they're able to discover, information about you. The reality is a good medium wouldn't ever need to do that. In fact, for myself personally, I rather know nothing about someone than know anything. It actually is easier for me if I don't know a thing about you. I've made mistakes in the past where I even found out where someone is from, and that has thrown me. So even just the slightest information, I don't even want to know that when I'm working with someone, because I don't want my mind to come in, and that's really the problem. I think too that it's really important to have good training that teaches you not to accidentally cold read. Because if we have people who aren't really that developed, but think they have been because of whoever taught them, and they're teaching people, they may teach them the techniques that they're using. So asking questions, not being specific, keeping things vague until they kind of figure it out. And all of that sort of thing is exactly like the fodder that, other people, skeptics and things like that want to use to prove their point, I guess. Because in their world, there's no possibility. And that's one of the things that I think is sort of like a thorn in my side to some degree. It's upsetting for me. Not so much that skepticism exists, because I actually am all for skeptics. For anyone who knows me personally, they will know that I'm the biggest skeptic. I think Miranda can definitely attest to that. She knows that I'm very much a person that's like, prove it to me, show me, where's the evidence, that sort of thing. Because if we don't hold ourselves to that high standard of showing that there is a reality beyond this, that there's ways to get information that is beyond the normal senses, I think that we're doing ourselves a disservice. And that's the thing. That's why I think it's so important for us to raise the standard of mediumship, to create trainings and development, and making sure that we are working to the best of our ability, to raising the bar with all of that. And so that's what my whole goal is. This is why I'm talking like this to you guys. This is why I, am writing a book. This is why I teach. I do all of this stuff in the name of trying to raise the bar. And I've been so blessed and lucky that the other world has brought to me some of the greatest mediums I know, for me to learn from, to experience, to get to see what happens when there's proper development, when you've given it the time, when you are not settling for, I gave a message, but rather really understand what mediumship is, why it is the way it is, and how is it that you relate to that power and that presence. So I think that is an incredible importance, especially if we're trying to show people, hey, this is real, this isn't just me sort of cold reading, people in grief. Because what hurts more than anything, I think, for me, is like this idea that people prey upon those in grief, right? Because those in grief are looking for something. They're looking for that solace, and they're going to believe you. And with all their emotions, it's easy for them to get taken up. So a couple of things I want to kind of give you tips for making sure that you are being with someone who is a good medium or psychic, as well as someone who is reputable, that sort of thing, and also to avoid, fraudulence. So number one, I think questions should be to a minimum when you're getting a reading. So if someone's asking you a lot of questions, like, who's so-and-so? Like, I don't really like that. That's not that strong of evidence. Like, a medium should be telling, not asking. So I think that's a really important thing. And unfortunately, in the United States, a lot of people are taught to ask rather than just give what they're getting, which is not good. Another thing, if you ever go to a medium or psychic and they're saying that, you have this curse or you have this thing that's on you, and for, go get me this object and I'll be able to lift this curse and you'll find love and all that stuff, throw that away too. Leave that person immediately. Don't pay them if you can, if you haven't already, because that person's trying to con you out of money. I think too, especially in demonstration, like I said before, try not to be posting a whole bunch of things about your past loved ones. Let them tell you. I think it's super important to let the medium do the work, and you just give yes, no, I don't know, I need more information. Obviously, I'm not saying be contrary, because that just inhibits the flow of information, but I am saying let them give you stuff that you can understand. If you can't understand it, don't say yes. Okay, like, let them do the work, because that's their job. That's what they're for. They're the ones that are saying, that they can do this. They're the ones that are getting paid to do this. You have to let them do their work. one of the things I'd say too is always look for the evidence, that the evidence is actually good. I think that's a very important thing. But I would also say too is be sure to, I don't really like just going to any random psychic or that sort of thing. Definitely check with people you know, people who have had positive experiences, people who's told you their experience and you were quite impressed by it. I think it's super important, that things are grounded in reality. You should be able to understand what the person's talking about. It shouldn't be this stretch or that sort of thing. You should be able to, for it to make sense to you. I'm trying to think if there's any other really good tips as far as this goes. I don't have them on my brain right now, but I hope that that's helpful in some way. Like, it's sad to me that this exists, like really sad to me that this exists, because it's what I'm trying to work against, and every time that someone gets caught doing this kind of thing, it is detrimental to the progress and to people's understanding. So I think it's super important, if you're developing your mediumship, to allow yourself the time before you're working with the public to be consistent, to be accurate, and it's not just about giving a message, it's about understanding also how to handle grief, how to understand when people are in the depths of grief. How do you work with that? Sometimes, yes, you can give the message, but you're also going to be called to do more counseling as well. I mean, like, just being supportive. How do you be supportive to someone once they are moved or hurt or saddened by, whatever it is that's coming up? Because what we're dealing with as a medium is people's loved ones. We're not talking about just some spirits. And I think that sometimes people who are developing their mediumship can grow a bit insensitive to, especially if you've done it for a very long time, can grow insensitive to the needs of the individual, to the needs of the fact that these are real human people that have lived their lives, that have memories and all that sort of thing. We always have to treat each communication with a sense of reverence, with a sense of, I'm not just trying to get these cool information for the sake of, getting the information. It's about reverence. It's about sacredness. What's happening when we're able to connect in this way is in some ways miraculous. In some ways, it's very much this incredible experience. How amazing is it that I can sit in front of somebody, know nothing about them, and begin to tell them either about their lives or about loved ones in their lives. So we have to remember that there is a sacredness, that it's not just a show, that it's not just entertainment. It's a beautiful sacred act of bridging the two worlds. And I think that when we approach it from that perspective, it allows us to keep that sense of value. It allows us to keep that sense of respect. And also, and probably the most important, that sense of responsibility. It is incredibly important that we allow ourselves to take on that mantle, because when you sit in front of someone and you tell them, oh, I'm getting this information from some unknown higher power, sort of means of communication, whether they truly are a skeptic or believe it or not, in that moment, whatever you say is going to sit there in their subconscious. And so you literally have bypassing their reason and logical brain, and you're going into this internal sort of space within. I think it's so vital and important to know that when you do that, you are impacting this person on a very, very deep and real level. So I just wanted to mention, this topic and talk about, fraudulence and that sort of thing. The second thing I wanted to mention was this idea of belief, because belief is a very interesting thing. It's amazing to me how much people will believe despite evidence to the contrary. So in my own personal journey, in my own development, in my own time, working with mediumship and in the mediumship world, I have been exposed to the height of fraud. I have seen blatant, manipulation, fraud that is just depressing, just upsetting and depressing, and people taking money off of grieving people. And it's really taught me something about belief. Belief seems to be something that people have a very hard time coming around to, like changing or editing or understanding in a deeper way, or letting go of certain belief systems once they already believe something, especially if they have a personal relationship with someone. So I guess at this point I've had to come to some place of compassion for those, as much as they can be frustrating. For me, I feel that it's so important to have compassion for people who are still kind of stuck in believing in something or someone when there's so much evidence to the contrary, when there's so much, especially when there's fraudulence, and there's literal physical evidence that says, hey, this is fraudulent. I think we have to have compassion. I think, yes, it's frustrating. Yes, it's hurtful. And we have to do what we can to do our best to bring that to light. But we can't do it alone. So I really want to call on the mediumistic community and those that are in this work, because right now it's the skeptics that do all the calling out. It's the skeptics are the ones that, say, hey, this person's not real, and they're willing to do something about it. I don't think that we should have to have skeptics being the ones that are drawing people, calling people. I think it's actually us, the mediums, the people who actually know what is real, who have an understanding, because the skeptics are just saying everything, all of this is fake. There's no way it's possible. The reality is it is real, that it is possible, and that it's amazing. So it's up to us who can discern what is real and what is not, and do what we can to hold the light of truth, especially on those who are acting in this way, because they're degrading everything that we're doing. They're degrading everything that we stand for, and all it's going to do is damage, all the hard work of the pioneers, of ourselves. So I just want to encourage those of you who may be aware of this or something, to stand up and be heard, and I would say call people out where you see bullshit, is basically what that is. And I'm not saying you necessarily have to disrupt something or, a demonstration or that sort of thing, unless it's like awful. But I just think it's really important to stand with what is true. Find your own way of how you want to express that. But I think that it's super important. I've had to do that many times in my life, and I'll be honest, it doesn't always turn out the greatest. Like I said, the power of belief and people being unwilling to challenge their belief systems, to see reason and logic, because for some reason in this world we're able to just let things be, just let things, we make excuses or we make justifications and that sort of thing. So anyway, I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to mention this, and be willing to challenge your beliefs. Even my own beliefs and what I do. I will look at that. I will look at that and say, okay, do I have evidence that says that this is true? Do I have evidence to support the things that I'm believing? And I'm not going to take on board the things that show me that that's not true. Thankfully, I've had plenty of evidence that supports, this understanding. It's what led me to mediumship. It's what made me so, I guess, devoted in some ways to this idea, because we see the results. And I can especially say, and what I think is the most beautiful, is seeing the results with my students and those who I know, that when I teach them some technique and they practice it and they do it, they actually have results. And I think for you yourself, it's so important whenever you're looking at, a new belief or something, what does it actually give you? Beyond just that sense of peace and stillness, whatever, or hopefulness, which is great. Those are all good things too. But does it actually do the claims that people are making? So I think it's super important, particularly in the new agey sort of world. There's like all kinds of things out there that I think are a little bit airy-fairy, a little fluffy for me. And I'm not saying that things have to be all dramatic and intense, because actually the reality is that it's not. I'm just saying, does it actually have a demonstrative benefit within your life? Does it actually have something that you can say, point to it and be like, yep, do you see, because I did this thing, this is what began happening. This is how I grew. This is what benefited me. Okay? And I just feel that's super, super important. I want to mention to you. Right, so I'm going to leave that there because it's kind of a slightly negative, and I don't really like to focus in on that too much. Not that you shouldn't look at the negative things, and this is why I'm talking about it, but I think it's super important for us to deal with this reality that is there. So any questions, anything you want me to talk about, anything in particular that you were wondering? Because that's really all I planned for today, is just talking about fraudulence within the world of mediumship. Sorry, I was trying to move my chair because the sun is like on me. I also want to say hi to Melinda, and hi Charla, and Madonna. Hello. So I hope you guys are still watching. Hold on, I'm gonna move my chair because Mama don't like the sun. Okay, there we go. Here we are. Okay, so thoughts, feelings, opinions, questions, comments, concerns, anything about mediumship, anything about anything, whatever. Here we are. This is your time. Miranda says, I totally relate to this. I did a lot of New Age practices that when I look back on never really got me anywhere. Coincidentally enough, mediumship was the catalyst to true transformation in my life. Evidence is everything. Hi. So, that's really good. I mean, I was there for that blow by blow, so that's really good. And I think that you know, in my own journey, I had to kind of decipher and go through all of the similar things. I mean, discover what was true for me, and what did I see, you know, have some sort of real change. So, hi Kim. All right. It's always just sitting in the silence, and the power is good. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's the short answer. I mean, yeah, it's good. I mean, it's an important thing. I mean, if you do it as a daily practice, I think that's a really important thing. What you find is that your stillness comes, your calmness comes. And actually, as I was reading this book that I'm reading, they talked about how they actually saw parts of the brain change. So meditation, actually, it was an article that I was reading, that meditation actually helps to reduce the activity or size of the amygdala, which is where we have our fear, emotions, all of that sort of things, our fear responses, and actually increase the size and activity of the areas of our brain that have to do with reason and calming and all of that sort of thing. So I think that's really important here. So yeah. I mean, it literally works. So just do it because it's actually helping your brain. And also it helps to can maintain and thicken the gray matter within your brain as well. So meditation does a lot of really fabulous things to overall health, to overall awareness. So yeah, sitting in silence I think is a great thing. Because it also helps to develop the areas of the brain that have to do with feeling and sensory skills, because that's what you're doing when you're being mindful, when you're sitting in that way. So yes, Melinda, that is the answer. Kim, what's the last book I read? The last book that I read, I'm always reading multiple books. Right now I'm working through the Eileen Garrett compilation of her books, but I'm also reading You Are Here by Thich Nhat Hanh, I think it is, which I'm loving very, very much. So I definitely recommend that to people and everyone. Yeah, you're welcome. Other questions, comments, concerns, feelings? I know it's hard to think of them, isn't it? While you're sitting here watching this. I hope you're enjoying the lovely flowers back there. If anyone knows what those trees are called, I'm definitely open to. I forget. I used to know the name. My best friend is really good at knowing those names, but I do not. Other things. Eileen's coming. Eileen is coming. When is she coming? I go to her on Wednesday, and then she'll be here the 23rd. She begins to be here on the 23rd, and she'll be here to the when is it? This 29th. No, the 30th. She leaves on the 30th. So the 23rd to the 30th she'll be in town. I hope those of you who are coming to her workshop have already paid. Today's the last day to get the early bird price, and I don't have any control over it, so if you missed that, I don't know what to tell you. But you have to go to the InSpirit website to do that. That's today, so make sure you get on that, otherwise it goes up $35, which is not good. Melinda, I need to double check and make sure that you've already paid. Hopefully you have, because I have not. I don't know if I have you on my list. I think I do, but I just don't have it in front of me. Right, I think I'm actually, unless anyone has any other questions, I'm going to just call it there. And just leave it at that, and just let this be the little one on fraudulence. And okay, fabulous, good, Melinda. On fraudulence, I don't think there's anything else I want to say necessarily about it, because I don't want to harp on it. It's a really shitty part of, you know, our world that exists, but you know, that's the reality of what we live in, and we kind of have to deal with the reality. So anyway, on that uplifting note, I hope that you guys are having an excellent Sunday, and I hope that you will join me. Obviously, you know, let me know other topics and things that you want to talk about, other things that you're interested in knowing about with regards to mediumship, psychic development, or astrology as well, because obviously I do that too. So please let me know. I'm happy to help you out as much as I can. And I think I'll just leave it there. So lots of love to all of you. I hope you all are doing well. And I look forward to either seeing you or hearing from you or working with you soon. Okay? Bye.